in this episode we're going to talk about the highs and lows of living on a boat and doing a trip like this. We used to watch a lot of the big sailing channels, and I thought that it was going to be like a holiday and lots of sunbathing, going to amazing places, and all be wonderful. It is amazing, but there are a lot of lows, and in this episode we are going to focus on the lows. We're going to talk about some of the highs, but we just wanted to be really realistic and let everyone know what it is actually like. So these are our highs and lows of boat life.
Things breaking can be a bit of a pain. You buy new plates and glasses, and you try and make the place a bit homely when you first leave. But this, you want to have a nice standard of living, but the reality is prepare for it. Yeah, prepare for it all to break.
Yeah.
I think we bought new plates before we left. I think all of them have chips in now.
Everyone.
Yeah, wine glasses.
We don't have any.
None. I think it took a month for 6 wine glasses to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Bowls and
everything.
Yeah, just usual stuff that you'd use every day just gets destroyed on a boat. Clothes, the sea and the salt. Get in the clothes. We have a washing machine on board, but it's a small washing machine for a boat. It's not like one of your ones at home, which is going to get everything clean properly, but it does the job for us.
But we can only use it when we're on land.
Yeah, when we're in marinas, because it's 240 and this boat runs on 12 volt, same as most smaller boats. It's only the big ones, 24.
So your clothes are always dirty.
Clothes are always dirty.
And just get ruined.
Yeah. Also, you can keep on top of the maintenance on a boat as much as you want. Really, the more you do, the less stuff will break. But stuff is always going to break. We spend a lot of time cleaning and just maintaining stuff, but it's always the things you don't expect to go wrong that go wrong. I.e. The autopilot, as you see in one of the episodes, caused us a major problem when we wanted to cross for the Atlantic. It's all fixed now, thanks to Dave, who owned the boat previously. He helped us sort it, so big thanks to Dave once again.
Yeah.
We had the battery regulator, which wasn't working properly when we first installed it. Still don't really know what was going on there, because now
it seems to be okay.
Well, it is. We've got loads more power. Well, not loads more power, but we've got the power that we need. So that's
really
good. Starter motor, that also decided to stop working for a bit. Spoke to a few professionals, marine engineers and that, and they said it needed to be replaced. But we've taken all of the connections off, cleaned them, put them back on, and it works. But every now and again we still have an issue with it. We do have a spare one, but we haven't fitted it because we're just trying to get as much life out of the one we've got. Anchor controller. This was an interesting one.
That was a stressful one.
Yeah, it's in one of the episodes, I think, where we was at anchor and the weather came in earlier than predicted. In the night, it was meant to come in at lunchtime the next day, so we tried to leave at first light and the anchor controller wasn't working. It was, but then it would stop, and then it would go, and then it would stop, but with the waves and the wind it got quite stressful.
Just a bit, yeah.
Yeah, so we got into the marina and went to the chandlery and brought a new one, really expensive, like 120 euros I think it was,
yeah,
something like this. So we came back and I thought, right, I'm going to try and fix it, because if we're replacing it anyway, it doesn't matter if I break it. And it turned out that inside the flexible coating, the wires had snapped inside, so all I'd done was strip it back and reconnect it, put it all back together, and it worked fine, so we got a refund on that. But it's little things. You can reduce the cost, but you've got to be, what's the word?
You've just got to be on it all the time and prepared to
just try and fix
out.
try and fix stuff, and it will save you fortunes. Cameras have gone wrong. That's why we was very inconsistent with our videos about a month ago, because the month prior to that the camera had broke and we had to send it back to Sony, and then they was 2 weeks sending it back,
and that's such a faff, because it's not, because you're out of the UK, it's you have to send it back to the UK and they have to try and send it out, and you don't have an address, do you? So it's difficult to get things posted. It's actually easier to just go home and get it and come back
from the Canaries, because it's cheap flights.
Yeah.
Obviously elsewhere in the world that probably won't be the situation.
Yes. But you've just got to be prepared to work around everything breaking.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how new your boat is, I don't think, or how much you keep on top of it. There's always stuff to do. So leading on from the repairs and the stuff that held us back, everything's more expensive for a boat and when you leave England, it seems. So when we looked for a starter motor in the Canaries, they wanted €400 for it. So we looked online, and in England, £98.
Yeah, my dad found it, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Solar panels, we brought them from the chandlery. They told us we could get the brackets made up down the road at the Metalworks. We searched high and low, everywhere we went said it was impossible. So that was interesting. Once again, Dave Pickford, the previous owner, he rose to the challenge, made the brackets for us, which are perfect.
We had to fly home and get them, so that was something that you'd think would be relatively easy, is like a flight home and a flight back. And
yeah, I mean, we could have got them posted, but then you got to pay. It was more expensive to have them posted, and then also the likelihood was they'd be stopped at customs for 2 weeks, so you got 2 weeks extra on marine fees because we can't go very far because you have to get them sent somewhere.
Import tax.
Yeah, possible import tax as well. So that's other things to consider. Also, any job you want to do on a boat, if it takes you an hour on land, it's half a day on the boat.
Easily.
Yeah.
We quite often get up in the morning and we'll think, right, we're going to get that and that done, and you only get half of one job done, and it's crazy because like we have beaten ourselves up a bit about things, haven't we? And not getting things done as quickly as we would normally at home. But I think that is just boat life. Everything takes.
It's a part of the
much
adjustment,
longer.
the adjustment period, isn't it? Like, you have to adjust to live on a boat. But we'll
Yeah.
go into that a bit more in the next section.
So it's impossible to stick to a plan when you live on a boat. We always have plans of where we want to go, where we want to be, things that we want to do. You rely so heavily on the weather forecast, and we use windy. What other ones do we use?
Well, we used 2 Windies and the Met Office.
And the Met Office ones. Sometimes they're right, but the majority of the time they're wrong. Weather comes in early, or it doesn't happen at all.
I think that's a lot to do with the Canaries. I think the Canaries are unpredictable because of they're in the middle of the Atlantic and they're volcanic islands. They basically create their own weather and acceleration zones with the wind. Coming down Europe, we never had that problem. It was fairly accurate.
Fairly, yeah.
Yeah.
But it does change. So we might have a 2-week plan of where we want to go. It all seems fine with the weather, and then something will change, and we have to completely change the plan. We were going to go to the Canaries, things went wrong. To the Caribbean, sorry, things went wrong. We couldn't go.
Well, we're meant to be in
Completely
Madeira
changed the
now.
plan. We're supposed to be in Madeira now. That hasn't happened because the weather's been bad. So yeah, you can't stick to a plan at all. You might plan to get some spares or anything that you need for a repair from the chandlery. You'll go to the chandlery, and we found more often than not the one thing that you need they don't have. They then have to order it for you, which can take a couple of weeks. So then you've got the problem of, do you stay in the marina, which is going to cost a lot for the 2 weeks? Do you go off? Do you come back? So that can be quite a challenge, just getting the parts that you need.
We've been waiting 3 weeks for winch grease.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, it's not always easy to just go and get a part and be able to fix something. Food shopping is another thing. We've done it a few times where we come into a marina and we think we're going to go and do a really big food shop and stock the boat up. You get there and the shop is miles away, or the shops that are close by are really, really expensive, or there is no shop where we can get like big bulky
to restock
things.
the boat, basically.
So that can be a challenge. There's the diesel as well. We've not planned well enough when we need to get diesel at times, and had to get it from certain marinas, and the price can vary between, well,
it's about 50 cents a litre. It can vary,
which is a lot when you're filling up.
Yeah, but the problem is the almanacs or our chart plotter will only tell us where we can get diesel. It doesn't tell you the price of it. So the best thing to do there is just to speak to as many people as possible.
And find out where you can get cheap diesel.
Here in San Miguel, it's fairly cheap. It's 84 cents a litre.
Yeah, which is good.
But the next marina along, Puerto Colón, it's €1.30 a litre, I think. So
plan for that. And also we bought some really big jerry cans, is that what they're called?
Yeah, but that was to cross the Atlantic, but now we're using them.
But they're really handy, because when you find cheap fuel, you can fill up all the tanks and fill up the jerry cans, and it just saves you a lot of money in the long run. So the social side of living on a boat can be quite difficult. It can be amazing. We have met some really, really cool people. Everyone seems to have a really interesting story, so it's great in that sense. But we're both quite used to being quite social. I was a teacher. Ryan was a...
I owned a brickwork company, so there's a lot of men that used to work for us or work with us.
So you had a lot of sort of banter at work with the boys that you don't really get anymore because it's just us.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I just have Ryan, and that's kind of it. There's no girly time. There's no sort of little gossipy chats that you have at home. So that has been really hard. Also, in some places that we've been, people are quite rude. Some of the locals are quite rude, and that can be difficult because we just want to make friends, don't we? Make friends and talk to people. So it can be difficult.
It can be quite isolating sometimes. You can go weeks without talking to people, but then there's other times where, like yesterday, we had 5 people just come over that we didn't know just to chat to us.
Yeah.
So it swings and roundabouts, but it can be lonely.
It can be lonely, and living in such a confined space, there's no privacy at all, is there?
Not really, no.
No privacy. You have to really make an effort to have your own alone time. You know, I'll sometimes say, right, you go out and I can chill and do whatever, and sometimes it's the other way around. So you have to make a real effort to make sure that
get your own time.
You have your own time, and also you get time to socialise and speak to friends from home. So it doesn't make it quite so isolating. Yeah, that's a good word.
You're waffling.
I know.
You're waffling.
Okay, that's the end of that one.
One thing I find quite frustrating is we'll spend 2 days cleaning the boat, like doing a deep clean. And if you go out sailing, obviously, then it's covered in salt. But one thing with the Canaries, there's a name for it, and I can't remember it at the moment. We'll put it up below. But you get these winds come from the Sahara, and I think it was a week ago, we done a really deep clean. We spent 3 days doing everything, the metal, inside, outside, anything we could do, it was done. The next day we had this wind come in for 3 days, and the whole boat was orange again. All of our rigging, we thought it was rust at first.
Yeah, we panicked.
But it wasn't, it's just this Saharan sand. It's just on everything. And you know, it's not too bad in the marina, we'll just wash it off. But when you're out at anchor in the Canaries, it's a bit more difficult because you're using your drinking water and your showering water.
So it is difficult to keep it.
Yeah, it just feels like it's never clean, ever. One thing happened the other day with the hose that we used to fill the tanks and to clean the boat, is someone had unplugged us and dropped it into the marina. Someone else had also, we think, opened their sewage tanks. So that hose had to be then thrown away and another one purchased, which is frustrating again. But it's one of those things that you have to deal with.
Yeah, don't trust the water in marinas.
Well, I wouldn't swim in a marina, put it that way. Also, another thing that needs to be considered is if you stay in a marina for a fairly long time, you obviously have sewage tanks and they get filled. Now, as you saw in the last episode, the tanks weren't causing a problem whilst we were sat in the marina, but once we went out and hit bad weather, somehow the sewage from the tank had made its way back down into the toilet. And because of the seas battering the boat and we was healing so much, well, you saw what happened in the last episode. You know,
it's all clean now, but it was pretty terrible times.
Sometimes you need to just be prepared to roll your sleeves up and get stuff done.
Walk through sewage in your bathroom.
Which takes away, you know, if anyone's got any glamorous ideas of laid on the front of the boat sunbathing, drinking Prosecco.
It's not always like that.
No, maybe if you charter a boat, but not if you live on a boat.
So the psychological aspects of living on a boat, it can be really scary. It can be amazing, but there are a few times where it is pretty scary. Obviously in bad weather, but you also have things like when the boat got hit by another boat. You know, this is our home, so it's worrying. You have a lot of times, especially when you're on passage, where you don't have any sleep, or your sleeping pattern is, and at anchor if it's rough, your sleeping pattern is really disruptive. So you're tired, you might be scared. You know, it's a lot. It does take its toll. You have the eating side of it as well that we found on passages. If you don't eat regularly, or sometimes it's too rough for us to cook or anything, and that, no sleep, not eating, scared, it's not, it's difficult. It can be really difficult.
And each one of them things makes the next one worse as well.
Yes. By the end of a passage, it's like a mix of feelings. You have this amazing feeling of achievement that you've just accomplished something, but you also are absolutely dead.
Sometimes.
You have panic, obviously when it's bad weather, it's similar to being scared, but we had a situation where the bilges, we went in a bilge and there was loads of water in the bilges, and that was...
Yeah, but why did that happen?
Because I left the seacocks open by accident.
So Faye left the seacock open, which had like a T adaptation with another hose on it, which had another valve on it. Not only had she left the seacock open, she had left the valve open. So as we were sailing and we was heeled over, the water was coming from the sea, up the seacock, through the valve, through the pipe, and into the boat. Like 150 litres we pumped out?
We pumped out 150 litres, yeah.
No electronics were damaged or anything like that, but
it was
a bit of a shock when we opened the bilge and saw it in there.
I thought we were sinking. Like, I think that was my thing. We're going down! Yeah, I think I nearly did a mayday actually, but obviously I didn't. That is not how you use a mayday call.
No, it's not even a pan-pan.
It's not an emergency in any way. But there is that panic, like those moments of panic. You can go from having the best time to suddenly panicking and worrying and thinking that your house is going to sink.
Well, one thing I find funny with some of the videos you hear is a lot of people like to say they live for the moment. I strongly disagree. I think if you lived for the moment, you'd probably end up dead very quickly, because you have to plan everything in advance. Like, you need to anticipate problems and put yourself in a position where if a problem arises, you're prepared to deal with it, or you're far enough away from danger that it won't be an issue. So that's one thing that I just strongly disagree with. You can't live for the moment and do this.
I think that's particularly so with you, because you're the captain and you do a lot of the passage planning. You do think about that kind of thing more than me, I think.
But, you know, another thing to consider as well with what we're saying is we are inexperienced, and we spent a lot of this trip in the Canaries, and the Canaries is notoriously difficult for anchoring. The marinas can be very busy, so they might turn you away, and the weather's very unpredictable. So this is our experience to date. This might not be necessary for everybody.
Yeah, we're just saying what we've experienced and what we think are our lows of boat life.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. So this might not fit everybody and everyone's opinion, but this is ours. But let's give you some of the highs anyway.
The highs definitely do outweigh the lows, but we're not going to go into too much detail on them, because you can watch any sailing videos really, any of the big channels, and you can see what the highs are. It is amazing. So we're just going to talk about our top 3. What are your top 3 highs?
Mine is getting something fixed. Now I know that was a low, but at the same time it's so difficult to get stuff done. Once you get it done,
It's a bit of a buzz.
It is a bit of a buzz actually. Right, so that's one. Getting safe after bad weather.
Yeah.
Or a long, difficult passage that we've done. You know, that does feel really good. A sense of achievement, and you can relax as well. That's one.
Yeah.
One of my most favourite things for me is going somewhere new, and especially places where people, tourists can't get to, or it's very remote, because you do feel like you're exploring somewhere for the first time. You're not, people have been everywhere, but it just feels a bit special, I think.
Yeah.
And for me, that's probably my most favourite. I have lots of favourite things, but these are my top 3.
Mm-hmm.
What are yours?
My favourite thing is seeing the dolphins and whales and swimming with the turtle, which is on the last video. Seeing them in their natural habitats out at sea, it's amazing. It's really, really special when all the dolphins come and swim alongside the boat, and whales. That for me is pretty insane.
It's pretty cool.
So that's definitely one. Night sails. I love a night sail, mainly because of the stars. Because when you're out at sea, especially when we were crossing from Portugal to Lanzarote, and we're 500 miles away from anywhere, so there's no light pollution, and the stars that you can see the Milky Way so clearly.
Not 500 miles from anywhere. The whole crossing was only 750. I think the furthest from anywhere we was 250 miles.
When you're 250 miles away from land. But yeah, the stars are amazing. I've never seen stars like it, so that's definitely a high for me.
What about the sea when it lights up as you're sailing through it?
You see, night sails. You see the sea, so it's the iridescence.
Bioluminescence.
Bioluminescence.
It's the algae in the sea, and as they get agitated, as a wave, a boat, or even a dolphin comes through, they all sparkle blue like fireflies. At night you can't really see the dolphins, but you can see the trail behind them, because as they aggravate the water, it'll light up.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that is amazing. Really, really cool. Didn't even know that was a thing. We've seen it quite a few times on our night sails, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We've seen it a lot.
So that's really cool. And I think the last one would be watching the sunset. Pretty much every day we sit, have a beer, and just watch the sun go down, which is incredible. At home, I didn't even think about it. I didn't think I'd ever seen a proper sunset go down past the horizon.
For me, back home, a sunset was annoying, so I'd normally be sat on the motorway in traffic with
And
the
you
sun in
get
my
the glare,
eyes.
yeah.
You never appreciate it.
No. Whereas we've seen some absolutely phenomenal sunsets. We just sit there, chill out, have a beer, and yeah, it's amazing. It really is. So that's my 3. Thank you for watching. Those were our highs and lows of boat life. If you have any questions or comments, please write it in the comment section or send us a message directly. Yeah, that was it.
We also have a Facebook page, which I don't think people can actually add themselves on. But if you comment to us on there, then we can add you. We'll fix it soon, but we don't actually know what the problem is at the moment.
Yeah, I've set it up wrong, I think. So yeah, we'll sort it. But yeah, thanks
Speak
for watching.
soon.
Bye.